Come sit, child. I have a story your heart has been waiting for.
My daughter-in-law said, "You don't deserve a penny from this family." But she didn't know, the truth wasn't written in money. It was written in memories she never cared to see. My name is Margaret Eleanor Jacobs, though most people simply call me Grandma May. I'm 76 years old, and I've lived enough life to fill libraries, losses, quiet victories, sacrifices, and silent storms. But never did I think the harshest words I'd ever hear would come from someone who married into my family. Someone my son trusted. Someone I welcomed into my home with warm food and open arms. Someone who called me Mom the first day she moved in. Her name was Alicia. And she looked me in the eyes last Thursday morning and said, "You don't deserve the inheritance. You never earned anything." Those words didn't sting because they were cruel. They stung because, for a moment, I believed she meant them. For a moment, I felt small. Invisible. Replaceable. But life has a strange way of revealing truths. Especially to those who manipulate them. And this is how karma came walking into my daughter-in-law's life. I raised my son Daniel alone since he was 12. His father, my husband, died in a construction accident. The insurance company refused to pay, leaving us with nothing except the house his father and I built brick by brick. Literally. My husband and I laid the foundation with our own hands, evenings, weekends, summer nights, pouring concrete by moonlight, laughing barefoot in the wet grass, dreaming of the family we would fill this home with. When Daniel was born, we carved his name into the last foundation stone before the cement dried. This house wasn't just property. It was our blood. Our love. Our legacy. Alicia never understood that. To her, it was just a smart real estate investment. To me, it was the last piece of the man I lost too soon. And here she stood, claiming I had no right over it. As if the walls hadn't heard my prayers each night. As if the floor hadn't felt my tired feet running to Daniel's crib. As if the kitchen hadn't carried the smell of my husband's laughter. But Alicia didn't care about all that. Her eyes saw only numbers. Her voice was cold when she said, "This house is worth nearly $600,000 now. Daniel and I deserve it. Not you." And then she gave me a final blow. "If you want to stay here, you'll sign whatever I put in front of you." That was the moment I realized. I wasn't fighting for property. I was fighting for my son's soul. For my dignity. For the truth of my life. Unraveling starts. Twist 1 begins. I didn't say anything to Alicia. Not that morning. Not when she pushed a stack of papers toward me. Not when she smirked and said, "Old people shouldn't hold on to things they can't manage." But I noticed something she didn't. The papers weren't written by a lawyer. They were typed by her. She forged a document and wanted my signature. A simple push of a pen. And the house would no longer be mine. I didn't sign. I walked away. And that was the first time Alicia felt fear. Not because she cared about me. But because she realized I wasn't as weak as she assumed. That evening, Daniel came home looking tired, distracted. He avoided my eyes. He kissed my forehead mechanically. Like a man who once had love flowing in him. But now followed instructions. Alicia's instructions. She pulled him by the arm and whispered in his ear. Urgent, panicked, rehearsed. He looked guilty. He looked broken. He looked like a son torn between the woman he married. And the woman who raised him. That night, I heard them arguing. Alicia's voice, sharp and forced. She's manipulating you. She wants everything for herself. Daniel's voice, low and conflicted. She's my mother, Alicia. Then Alicia's final blow. If you don't choose me, I'm leaving. The silence that followed was more painful than the shouting. The next day, our neighbor Mrs. Lawson, a gentle widow who watches everything without trying, came to me with trembling hands. Margaret, dear. I didn't want to get involved, but you need to know this. She handed me a small phone. A video was playing. Alicia. In the backyard. On the phone with someone. Saying my name. Saying my property. Saying her plan. I'll get her signature. Old people get confused easily. Once the house is ours, Daniel and I can finally move to Arizona like we planned. Planned? Arizona? Without me? Daniel didn't know. I saw his confusion the night before. He was clueless. Alicia wasn't. Later that evening, I went into the old storage room. A room full of my husband's tools, blueprints, and old boxes. I don't know why. Maybe instinct. Maybe intuition. I found a dusty tin box labeled. For May, only if needed. I opened it. Inside was a letter. From my husband. My hands trembled. The edges of the paper were yellow. The ink slightly faded. But his handwriting was clear. And the truth inside it changed everything. My breath caught as I unfolded the paper. The smell of old ink mixed with dust filled the air. A scent that took me back to nights when my husband and I sat on the porch drinking tea, watching fireflies, dreaming about tomorrow. His words were written with such clarity, such purpose, as if he knew this moment would come. As if he knew I would need strength long after he was gone. The letter said, May, if you're reading this, it means life has put you in a place of decision. This house belongs to you, not because I gave it to you, but because you built it with me. You held every beam steady. You mixed the cement. You made it a home. I want this property to always remain under your name. Until you decide what to do with it. My hands trembled harder now. He continued. If anyone ever questions your right, show them the envelope taped under the floorboard of our old wardrobe. My heart skipped. I looked at the wardrobe in the corner. The one I hadn't touched in years. Inside the letter was a tiny sketch of the wardrobe and a marking. My husband was always meticulous. He never left things incomplete. I walked to the wardrobe slowly. Like a woman stepping toward a truth she wasn't ready for. Yet desperately needed. I got on my knees, reached beneath the wooden base, and felt something cold. Flat. Metallic. A sealed envelope. When I pulled it out, dust scattered into a golden cloud under the beam of sunlight sneaking through the window. On the envelope were 3 words. For her truth. I opened it. Inside were 3 documents. 1, the original property deed, in MY name only. 2, a notarized letter from my husband stating full ownership was mine. 3, a bank receipt showing he paid the final mortgage alone, without touching our savings. Tears filled my eyes. This house, this legacy, was always mine. My husband had protected me before death. Knowing one day someone might try to take advantage of my quiet nature. Alicia never knew whose hands built the walls she wanted to sell. She never knew the price I paid. In sweat, in grief, in loneliness. But now, she would. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees, Alicia entered my room without knocking. Her smile was fake. Her tone rehearsed. Have you thought about signing? Daniel and I want to start a new life, somewhere warm, somewhere fresh. Arizona. The place she wanted to drag my son to. The place she planned to take $500,000 of my life's work. I watched her carefully. Her eyes darted around the room, as if checking whether I had spoken to someone. I just want what's fair, she said sweetly. Fair. Funny word. Coming from a woman who forged documents. I folded the letter quietly, slid the envelope back beneath the wardrobe, and turned to her. Fair? I whispered. Let's talk about fair tomorrow. She smirked. She thought she had one. The next morning, I searched for my purse to go to the clinic for my annual checkup. But my medical papers were gone. Alicia stood at the door with her arms folded. Looking for something? She asked. Her voice was dripping with poison. I felt something cold spread through my chest. Give them back, Alicia. She leaned against the doorframe casually. Why? If there's no medical record showing you're healthy, the court will see you as unfit to make legal decisions. I froze. She wanted to prove I wasn't mentally capable, so she could take legal control. My pulse raced. Not from fear, but from the realization of how far she was willing to go. Daniel won't support this, I said softly. Her smile widened, cruel and confident. Daniel believes whatever I tell him. Remember that. But she made one mistake. A small mistake that karma would magnify. She left my door slightly open, and didn't realize someone else was listening. My neighbor's teenage son. A quiet boy who often helped me carry groceries. He heard every word. He recorded it. That night, after dinner, Daniel went to bed early, tired, stressed, confused. Alicia stayed awake in the living room, pretending to browse real estate listings. I quietly packed a small bag. Just enough clothes for a few days. A photograph of my husband. The letter. A tiny pocket Bible. My reading glasses. A shawl my mother knitted decades ago. I wrote a note for my son. Daniel, my boy, don't look for me. When the truth comes to you, you will know where to find me. Love, Mom. I placed the note under the salt shaker. The place Daniel always looked first in the morning. Then I stepped out of the house. Alone. In the cold night air. The street was quiet. The stars dim. My breath visible. But my heart? My heart was strong. Stronger than it had been in years. I walked away from my home. Not because I had lost it, but because they had lost me. The next morning, Alicia woke up to chaos. Daniel was holding the neighbor boy's phone, playing the recording. Alicia's voice. Her plan. Her cruelty. Her manipulation. Every lie. Every threat. Every detail. Daniel's face was pale. His hands were shaking. He asked one question. Is this who you really are? Alicia tried to lie. To spin. To cry fake tears. But Daniel didn't buy it anymore. He broke. Years of manipulation cracked inside him. Where is my mother? He shouted. Alicia had no answer. Because she didn't know the one thing I learned long ago. A mother doesn't lose her way. People lose her when they stop valuing her, asterisk asterisk. Daniel grabbed his keys and left the house at sunrise. He went looking for me. Daniel drove through the quiet morning streets with trembling hands. He checked every corner of the neighborhood, every familiar place. The church she visited each Sunday. The bakery where she bought lemon tarts. The old bus stop she used to stand at when she worked 2 jobs to raise him. Nothing. All that was left of me was the cold absence in the house. And the warm memory of my note. His voice cracked as he whispered to himself. "Where are you, Mom? Please be safe." He didn't cry often. But that morning, he pulled the car over and buried his face in his hands. Because for the first time in his adult life, he felt what it meant to lose me. I sat inside a small old cafe at the edge of town. A place I used to visit with my husband when we were young and broke. The same smell of roasted beans and cinnamon lingered in the air. The owner, Mrs. Reyes, recognized me instantly. "May? Oh my goodness, child, what happened? You look shaken." I smiled softly. "Life is happening, Eva. Life, and its lessons." She hugged me. A real hug, warm, long, honest. The kind my daughter-in-law never gave me. The kind my son forgot he needed. I spent the day helping her bake empanadas. She insisted I stay as long as I needed. And for the first time in a long time, the world didn't feel heavy. Alicia paced the living room like a trapped animal. Her perfect plan was unraveling. Her lies exposed. Her marriage cracking. And karma. Karma was circling like a patient hawk. Her phone buzzed. It was her mother. The woman she rarely visited. The woman she pretended to care about only for social media. Alicia answered with a huff. "Mom, I don't have time." Her mother's trembling voice interrupted. "You need to come to the hospital. Now." Alicia froze. "What happened?" Her mother whispered. "I collapsed at work, the doctor says. I may need surgery." Alicia felt her chest tighten. Her worst fear wasn't losing the house. It was losing control. And now the universe was teaching her how it feels to fear losing a parent. She drove to the hospital in silence, not even realizing this was the first of many lessons. Alicia's mother lay in bed weak, breathing shallow. The nurses explained that she had been hiding her symptoms for months, too afraid to ask for help because Alicia was too busy. Those words pierced Alicia worse than any betrayal she had done to me. A nurse whispered. "Your mother kept saying, I don't want to be a burden." It broke our hearts. Alicia sat down and cried. Not fake tears. Real ones. Because for the first time, she realized what it meant to make someone feel small. Her mother reached out a trembling hand. "My dear," she whispered, "don't ever send away someone who loves you. A home without love is a house made of dust." Alicia sobbed harder. Those words were meant for me. And she knew it. While Alicia was at the hospital, Daniel returned home and began searching my room for any sign of where I went. The wardrobe door was slightly open, and something caught his eye. A thin scratch along the wooden base, as if someone had pried it before. Curious, he knelt down and lifted the board. His breath hitched. The envelope. The deed. The notarized letter. The truth. His hands shook violently. He whispered, "Mom, you owned everything. And you never told me?" Then he saw the date. 18 years ago. The year his father died. I had kept the secret all these years. To protect the family. Not to divide it. Daniel sank to the floor, tears hitting the documents. What have I done? How could I let her speak to you like that? He clutched the letter to his chest. It was like holding a part of his father. A whisper from a man who foresaw danger long before it arrived. That night, Daniel made a decision. Not for the inheritance. Not for guilt. Not for fear. But because he finally remembered who I was. His mother. His only family before marriage. His safe place. His history. His heart. Daniel visited every house I had ever been to. He went to my friend Helen's home. Then the church. Then the community center. Nobody had seen me. Then he thought of the one place. I went when I was hurting. But didn't want anyone to know. The old cafe. The one my husband loved. The one I visited alone after his passing. When I missed him too much. Daniel drove there. With a pounding heart. He opened the cafe door slowly. And saw me. Sitting at a table. Sipping tea. Staring out the window. Looking peaceful. But older than he remembered. His voice cracked. Mom. I turned. For a moment. Just a moment. He saw the little boy he once was. Standing in the doorway of our old home. After scraping his knee. Waiting for me to say. It's okay, my love. Come here. But now. He was the one hurting. Daniel walked toward me with shaking hands. Mom. I don't know what to say. I placed my hand over his. You don't need to say anything, Daniel. He broke down. Burying his face in my shoulder like he hadn't done in 20 years. I am so sorry, for not protecting you. For letting her speak to you like that. For forgetting who you are. I held him gently. A son can be misled. But a mother's heart can always find its way back. He sobbed harder. Please come home, Mom. I smiled softly. I will come home. When your home becomes a place where love speaks louder than fear. He nodded through tears. It will. I promise. Daniel and I drove back to the house together. This time, the silence between us wasn't cold. It wasn't distant. It wasn't filled with tension. It was the silence of a son who finally understood what it meant to almost lose his mother. He gripped the steering wheel tightly. Mom. I swear to you. I won't let anyone disrespect you again. Not even my wife. I placed a gentle hand on his arm. Daniel, marriage is hard. People lose their way. Just make sure you don't lose your mother again. While trying to fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. He nodded, swallowing hard. When we reached the house, Alicia's car wasn't there. She was still at the hospital. But the house, our home, felt different the moment we entered. As if the walls had been waiting for honesty. To walk through the door again. Daniel put my bag down, then took the envelope from his pocket. The deed. The notarized letter. The truth. He placed it on the dining table carefully. Almost reverently. Mom. I want you to take your rightful place in this home. Whatever happens next. You're not going anywhere. I smiled gently. Let's see what the night brings, my boy. Because I knew this story wasn't over. Karma doesn't end quietly. It ends in truth. Around 9 p.m., Alicia entered the house slowly. Her eyes were swollen. Her hair messy. Her movements shaky. She looked exhausted. Not from manipulation, but from reality. She didn't see me at first. She saw Daniel. Standing firm. Holding the envelope in his hand. Her breath caught. Daniel. I can explain. He held up his hand. No. Not this time. She swallowed. Her voice trembling. Please, my mother is very sick. I didn't know what to do. Daniel stared at her long and silently. And that gives you permission to try to take everything from my mother? To hide her medical papers? To threaten her? To lie to me for years? Alicia dropped to her knees. No, Daniel, I was scared. I panicked. I made mistakes. Mistakes. Such a soft word. For such sharp cruelty. Alicia finally looked behind Daniel. And saw me. Her face lost all color. Why, you're home. I nodded gently. I am. She tried to smile. It came out twisted. I'm sorry. I simply said. No, Alicia. You're scared. Not sorry. Her lips shook. She opened her mouth to argue. But my phone buzzed. A call. And this call changed everything. It was a lawyer's voice on the line. Mrs. May, this is Attorney Harris. I'm calling because someone attempted to access your property file and request an emergency ownership review. My blood ran cold. That was not me, I said firmly. He replied. It was submitted under your name. But the signature was forged. Daniel looked at Alicia. Alicia's eyes widened in panic. The lawyer continued. Mrs. May, the person who attempted the forgery, used their own driver's license number by mistake. We already identified them. He paused. It was your daughter-in-law, Alicia. Silence fell over the room. Heavy. Sharp. Unforgiving. Alicia fell back onto the sofa, covering her mouth with shaking hands. I didn't mean. I didn't think. I was just. But excuses meant nothing now. Because the legal truth was on record. And forgiveness doesn't erase consequences. Daniel sat across from her, jaw tight. Why, Alicia? Why would you do this to my mother? What did she ever do to you? Alicia finally spoke the truth. She had been hiding for years. My mother raised me alone. We were poor. Every time someone owned a house, I felt small. When I married you, I swore I'd never be powerless again. Your mother's house felt like a threat. A reminder that I had nothing. Her voice cracked. So I tried to take control of it. I told myself it was for our future. But deep down, it was for me. My insecurity. My fear. Daniel looked at me, heartbreak in his eyes. Mom, what do we do? I walked toward Alicia slowly. She looked terrified. Like a child waiting for punishment. I sat across from her. Alicia. You tried to take my home. My safety. My dignity. My legacy. And worst of all, you tried to take my son's trust. She looked down, trembling. I know. But I will not be the woman who destroys your marriage. Nor the woman who pushes you out. While your own mother lies in a hospital bed. Her eyes lifted. Confused. Hopeful. Lost. What does that mean? I let out a long, heavy sigh. It means you will face consequences. Not from me. But from life itself. From your husband. From the law. From your own conscience. I stood. And until you rebuild what you shattered, I will not leave this home. Not for you. Not for anyone. This is my house. Alicia nodded slowly, defeated. Daniel took a deep breath. I need time, he said quietly. A lot of it. Alicia began to cry. Real tears this time. Not manipulative ones. But tears don't always wash away sin. Just when the night seemed heavy enough. Another twist found us. Daniel's phone buzzed. It was the neighbor boy. Mr. Daniel. I sent you the full recording. But there's something you didn't hear earlier. Daniel played it. Alicia's voice whispered. Once the house sells, I'll transfer everything to my secret account. Daniel never needs to know. Daniel froze. Killed inside. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't fear. This wasn't panic. This was a plan. A full plan. A betrayal. A theft. A destruction of trust. He looked at Alicia, eyes empty. You were going to take everything. And leave me, weren't you? Alicia whispered. Yes. Alicia sat frozen on the couch. Her chest rising and falling in shallow breaths. Her eyes filled with a fear she could no longer disguise. Daniel stared at her with a hollow expression. You were going to take the money. And leave me. Alicia wiped her tears. I thought life was unfair to me. I thought I deserved more. I was wrong. So wrong. But Daniel's face had changed. He was no longer the man easily manipulated. No longer the husband who believed lies over truth. He had become something else. A man who had finally seen his wife. And didn't recognize her. I need space, Daniel whispered. Alicia panicked. Daniel, please, don't leave me alone. My mother is at the hospital. I have no one else. Daniel's voice was cold. You had me. My mother. You chose greed instead. Alicia reached for his hand. He stepped back. Tears streamed down her face. Please, don't do this. He turned away. I'm taking Mom to the cafe to rest. We'll talk tomorrow. But tonight, I can't even look at you. It was the first time Alicia tasted the loneliness she had tried to give me. That night, Daniel and I returned to the cafe. It had closed hours earlier. But Mrs. Reyes opened the door anyway when she saw us. Come in, both of you. Sit. Drink something warm. Life is cold enough tonight. We sat at the corner table. Daniel rested his forehead in his palms. Mom. How did you stay so calm through all this? I smiled softly. Because I have lived long enough to know the truth. People who chase what is not theirs end up losing what was. He nodded slowly, wiping his tears. I'm sorry. For not seeing any of it. You see now, I whispered. That is enough. Daniel returned home early. I followed slowly behind. Alicia was sitting at the dining table. eyes swollen, hair messy, her mother's hospital papers in her trembling hands. When she saw Daniel, she stood. Please listen. I know I hurt you. And your mother. And myself. But I don't want to lose you. I want to make things right. Daniel held up a hand. I'm listening. Say whatever you need to. Her voice cracked. I don't want the house. I don't want the money. I don't want anything from your mother anymore. I only want you. And forgiveness. Daniel looked at me. Then he looked at her. You lied to me. You manipulated me. You tried to destroy my mother's future. How do I come back from that? Alicia broke down. I'll earn it. I'll face the consequences. I'll get therapy. I'll take care of my mother properly. I'll do anything. Her chest heaved with sobs. I don't want to lose you, Daniel. I don't want to be the villain in your story. Daniel closed his eyes. You already are. Alicia let out a single, sharp cry. But villains can change, I said quietly. Both turned toward me. I stepped forward. Alicia. You have a long road ahead. But not every sinner is thrown away. Some learn. Some grow. Some break before they rebuild. Alicia whispered. Do you forgive me? I gave a long, deep breath. No. Not today. Forgiveness has weight, child. And you must carry some of that weight first. She nodded slowly. I understand. That week, Daniel and I visited Attorney Harris. We submitted. Heavy check mark the deed. Heavy check mark the notarized letter. Heavy check mark the recorded confession. Heavy check mark evidence of the forged attempt. The lawyer shook his head in disbelief. Mrs. May. You have one of the strongest property protections I've ever seen. Your husband was a wise man. Daniel squeezed my hand. She'll never lose this home again. I smiled. No, Daniel. She never lost it. People only tried to take it. The lawyer filed a permanent statement of ownership. The house belonged solely to May. Legally. Irrevocably. Forever. Alicia signed away any future claim. Not because we forced her. But because life forced her to understand the truth. 2 weeks later, we all met again. Daniel stood between us. His face calmer now. His eyes less clouded. Alicia looked smaller. Not physically. But spiritually. I'm trying, she whispered. I'm going to therapy. I'm taking care of my mother. I'm learning what I broke. I know trust will take time. But I'm here. Daniel nodded. We'll take it slow. She turned to me. I know I don't deserve to say this. But can I ask one thing? I raised an eyebrow. What is it, child? Please don't leave the house. I want you to stay. I want to learn from you. I want our future children to learn from you. I want to do better. I studied her face. Tired. Bruised. But honest. Daniel held his breath. And I finally spoke. White medium star, a house becomes a home. When the loudest voice inside it is love, not fear. I stepped closer. And I am willing to stay. As long as you learn to build this home. With open hands. Not closed fists. Alicia nodded, tears falling freely. I will. I placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Then we begin again. Not because you deserve it, but because love deserves one more chance. That night, we all sat together at the dinner table. Nothing was perfect. Nothing was magically healed. Nothing was instantly fixed. But something was different. The air was cleaner. The hearts were softer. The truth was out. Daniel looked at both of us. We'll grow. Slowly. But we will grow. I smiled at him. And I will be here. In this house. Where I belong. Because this story wasn't about a house. It was about a family finding its way. Through lies. Fear. Greed. And finally, truth. And the final word of the episode came from Grandma. White medium star, in every storm. Love is the home you return to.
Thank you for watching and listening to my stories. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Voice of Grandma.